Party banter pauses and picks up again later if you trigger combat, a cutscene, or any
boom! All over, like everything is just flat. Oh, I can't stand this. It's too much.
Right. No more.
JayViper is awesome. He's so good looking. He's got the crown in all.
It's been 10 long years since Dragon Age Inquisition, and the expectations for the next game in the series,
man,
Dragon
it's been
Age
10
Veilguard,
years,
seem impossible. A full decade, a bevy of behind-the-scenes changes, and an interesting start to its marketing campaign made me a little worried for my most highly anticipated game of the year.
It's a lot of glowy stuff.
What you've been through would break most people.
On the screen a lot.
One of my biggest concerns, based on early previews, was that it could be headed in the direction of being a linear action game rather than its more open-world predecessor.
Okay.
While Dragon Age is known for changing its style with each installment, I hoped dearly that it wouldn't lose too much of the DA DNA I fell in love with. After hours of hands-on time spread across 2 days, I'm pleased to say that I walked away with excitement and curiosity, but
so, yeah, there's just so much glowing, like there's so much after effect on the screen all the time.
Mostly relief to wave many of those concerns goodbye.
Okay. IGN first! This is exciting! So they are hands-on, they're playing it, okay.
Covered a wide smattering.
Like, there's so much bright stuff going on. Man, I hope there's a way to tone it down. Like, the UI is so
things,
bright.
including the incredibly expansive character creator, the introductory quests, a faction mission, and a companion quest a little deeper into the game. But I was mostly pleased with my ability to just explore Northern Thedas and all its gorgeously designed glory, experiencing a setting in Dragon Age lore that we've really only heard about. To be clear, the Veilguard—
What am I in right now? I'm gonna crank it. I just feel like
isn't the open world playground that Inquisition was. As game director Corinne Bush has previously stated, it's more mission based. But what impressed me after the first few hours was how much exploration can still be done in the various regions, as well as the impact the player character—
The details don't look really good. The textures are kind of plain. I mean, I know the game's huge, but
Rook can have on those regions.
This is what's bothering me, is like everything has like a glow after effect. Even the text is glowing.
And there we go. Easy.
Wow.
It's just like not
Consider
it's not
it
I don't
something
like
of a mix
that.
of Dragon Age 2
not easy
and
on my
Inquisition.
eyes.
The more streamlined approach of the former—
Look, everything glows. Even the
geographically and
every text
sociopolitically
glows.
diverse world of the
glowing.
latter.
Like this looks nice.
Of course, some of the bigger art style, combat, and gameplay changes will be subject to personal taste. But after my time with the Veilguard, I left feeling like these 10 long years just might have been worth the wait.
Glowing, glowing, glowing. It's so... I mean, I get that it's magic, but
As
it's just
fans have already seen from the first
crazy.
gameplay trailer, players are dropped right into the city of Minrathous in the middle of the
That
action
looks
as
horrible.
Solus prepares a ritual that will devastate Thedas. Luckily,
The
our old
textures,
friend
like, look at the
Varric,
textures
action as
on this
Solus
guy's
prepares a
armor.
ritual
The
that will—
art, like, this doesn't look good. It's just, like, really basic texturing. You know what it reminds me of is, like, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and how bad the armor is there. It looks like, it's like their armor is, like, a piece of clothing that's painted. This kind of looks like that.
devastate Thedas.
I was hoping
Luckily,
the game would look
our old
better.
friend Varric has recruited you
I like
to help,
Varric.
and it barely takes a couple of minutes for the game to put
She's
the
cool.
focus
I don't know
on
who
Rook.
she is. I like her look.
After a surprisingly concise story recap from Varric,
Is that the
there are
person
a
she's
number
playing
of
as?
aspects the Veilguard starts easing you into.
Everything is like
For
bloom.
one,
There's
the
bloom
combat.
everywhere. I hate it.
Gone are the days of Dragon Age Origins' more CRPG-inspired tactical system, offering a style that's a mix of quick action and a mechanic where you can fire
What?
tactical.
That's
the
bothering me.
combat. Gone are the days of Dragon Age Origins' more CRPG-inspired tactical system.
Why do they do that? Why would they get rid of like the classic Dragon Age combat? I know Dragon Age is the story, but the combat was so great, especially Origins. Like, I really like the
Offering a
combat in
style that's
Origins.
a mix of quick action and a mechanic where you can pause and pull up your radial menu. While this
I didn't like
absolutely
the radial.
does take some getting used to, and it'll be a gradual process to create what could be a highly customized build while learning all your companions' different abilities,
Okay.
it didn't take me long to actually start having fun with it.
Looks like there's going to be some legit builds.
I largely played mage and rogue builds during my hands-on time, and also quickly started to lean on certain companions' abilities. For
There's
one, the mage
so much
healing
flashing on
ability
the
was
screen.
essential.
It's
For
like
one
an
particularly
eye ache.
difficult remnant, I basically
I can't.
established a
I keep
pattern
saying
where
it,
I
but
would
like this screen is. I hate this. I don't like this at all. The UI in this game is pretty
was
bad.
only using Balara's mana to heal me, dodging and playing it safe when it got too risky. Nev's ability to slow
Man.
time was also one I kept returning to, offering a bit more control on the battlefield when the situation got a little too
Who's this?
fast-paced.
Is it? This dude looks weird. I don't like him. He's a
And for you
Kunari. I don't
glass
really
cannon
like
builds out
Kunari
there,
though.
You'll want to have a warrior around to taunt your enemies out of your way.
I mean, they're good. Yeah, they're good warriors or whatever, right?
No problem.
Like a whole
But-
lot in the Veilguard, combat revolves around your
I
companions.
felt like they
even though
added
you
that in
can't
for.
fully
You
take
didn't need them.
control of them like in previous Dragon Age games. Different companions have different combo options together, and there are certainly opportunities to build team synergy. Oh, and you'll want to listen to your companions in combat too, as they'll occasionally drop some useful hints.
Okay. As long as they're not spoiling like any kind of puzzles, I'd be fine with that.
But combat aside, your dialogue choices, your
Varric looks
background,
great.
and the frequent decisions you make are immediately important, which shouldn't be too surprising for fans of BioWare games. The dialogue wheel is back, of course, as
Okay.
is the approval-disapproval system.
I like the wheel a lot better than the original system where you go down the list and select.
Not a lot of time. Varric said you had a lead on Solus?
You get right to the point.
But I was surprised to see that the Veilguard actually explains the
So this is her
consequences
character?
of
She looks
some
really
of your
good.
dialogue choices in very clear terms.
See, you say that.
It's a variation of the so-and-so will remember that system, but more specific.
But we do have Nev's location now, so...
Take, for example, my
Does
first
your character
confrontation with
voiced?
Solus, aka Fen'Harel, aka the Dreadwolf. I chose a more sarcastic, humorous approach with him, and at the end of our confrontation, text on the side of the screen
No, she's
informed
this
me
one.
that I have traded verbal jabs with Solus.
This is your responsibility now.
I don't like the purple. I
It was
don't
far
like
from
it.
the
It's
only
everything is
occurrence of this
purple.
sort of text, and it leaves me curious as to how your
Everything, the whole
relationships with
screen's
various
purple.
characters will build and branch out over time based on your attitude. Speaking of consequences, it quickly became clear to me that there would consistently be tons of choices in the Veilguard that'll have lasting results. It probably
character
sounds
models
like
don't
I'm
look
stating the
great.
obvious
Look
here,
at
but
that,
I got the
was that
sense
a griffin?
Even more of these kinds of choices might be peppered throughout than the
Man, do I ever not like the character models that much? Like, I like that little. I don't even know if it's her. I don't know who it is. Harding,
usual
it said.
BioWare game. Right at the beginning, for instance, I made a choice that led to Harding getting injured, and she
Yeah,
was
so
still
Harding's
bruised up
not
for the
even-
remainder
okay,
of the
so
next
Harding's
couple
their
hours.
character.
I felt like a real
Who's
jerk about
Harding?
it, and that was probably the point.
This one.
Dragon Age the Veilguard seemed to be telling me
confused.
right from the start that I'm going to feel like a jerk a lot.
You don't slow down for much, do you?
Without spoiling too
Oh,
much,
this is her
you'll
character.
also be able to see some of your progression and choices in the environment around you as well. But once introductions were out of the way, it was time to explore the wide world of Thetis and see its past and present collide.
I'll be honest though, like the magic combat is man, it's disappointing looking and whoa. So if anyone ever played Hogwarts Legacies, they actually made combat with magic pretty good and fun. It didn't look very fun. It's slow and
Shall we?
very
Let's do
repetitive
this.
movements. That's
As
worrisome.
mentioned earlier, one of
this
my
screen
biggest-
is look at this. This is a mess. Is the UI, and you can't even see it all. Let me move me up a little bit. Like there's even more down here. It's just so much UI. This thing comes up. I don't like this. I don't like this whole thing. This
worries
thing
was
looks
that
terrible.
the Veilguard could end up being more linear
Everything is look. This is what I'm talking about. It's just there's so much
in
flashing
its
and
approach. trading branching
I don't like
gameplay
it.
for a straight
There's
line.
so much
and
on the
sure,
screen.
the opening hours, essentially the tutorial zone, are a little railroady, save for a couple
God.
key decisions you have to make. But once you're past that and more established within Act 1,
feel like
you're
that
much
wasn't
more
done well.
free to tackle quests as you please as you unlock more and more regions. You do this via the crossroads.
You know what
For
it
those-
looks like? It looks like an older MMO, like how it's so imprecise. Like watch these attacks. It seems like really imprecise. Like you're locked onto an
As
enemy,
you
so you'll hit them anyway. Like watch, he's
please.
not touching this guy.
As
and he misses
you unlock.
and gets him there that time. But it's like it just seems so imprecise, which is I mean, if you're gonna go to a real-time
more
fighter,
regions.
why
You
would
do
it be
this
so
via the
precise?
crossroads. For those of you who aren't brushed up on your Dragon Age lore, that's a nexus between the waking world of Thetis and the metaphysical realm of the Fade, through which the ancient elves would travel through magical mirrors called Illuvians. You now use the Illuvians for that same purpose. And
Especially
to
the
unlock
first
new
mirror you
regions,
see in
have
Dragon
to fight through
Origins
certain
when they
areas
broke
of the
it.
crossroads before you can start fast traveling to them. Unlocking said regions opens up a vast
I hope I
network
can
of
turn off
areas,
some of
and
these
not unlike past Dragon Age
things that are
games,
popping
they're
up all over the
dramatically
screen.
different from one another.
As the gods' champion passed freely, so will you.
Take, for example,
Okay.
the Arlethan Forest, a gorgeous, colorful region that mixes greenery with elven magic.
See, this is like, look at this, right? As an overall picture, it looks pretty good, but then when you look in the texturing, like the texturing is really, ugh. Like the overall view is pretty decent, like, you know, the design of it, but then the details are majorly lacking.
You can see nugs burrow into the grass, magical artifacts abound, and there's a vast array of nature to simply
What is this? Why is this in the way? Like, get this
admire.
out of here.
You're hit with a massive tone shift, however, when you head to Haussburg.
Lavendel Village. Whatever happened here looks like Demeter's Crossing.
Currently under siege by the Blight, here is where you'll see some of the more horror-inspired aesthetics, and frankly, just some of the grosser aspects of the Blight.
Everything's
While
flashing.
the Veilguard's tone certainly
I can't
leans
stand
more
it.
high fantasy in
It's
places
just
like
not
the
for me,
Crossroads,
this
don't
type of
worry. Those who miss the gore and dark fantasy of
display
Origins
and
will find that too in
presentation is
places
just
where the Blight has
too
spread.
much. Like, look at, like, everything down here is flashing. This is filling right here, and it's still flashing. Watch it. It will. There it goes. Now it's flashing
But
again.
I couldn't help but spend a lot of my time just running around in
Flash,
Treviso,
everything's
the
flashing.
bustling city that's home to the Antivan Crows faction. For one thing, a lively city feels like a novelty in Dragon Age. But there was simply so much to explore that I kept getting sidetracked. A merchant with unique items here, a new quest to pick up over there, and a
That
random combat
character
encounter
model
over
was
there.
really ugly too.
And
a lot
that's
of
just
weird
when I wasn't looking
characters.
around for a cat or dog to pet. Because yes, you can pet the cats and dogs.
Oh, thank God we can pet the dog. Oh, I'm so glad that that meme has turned into, like, you can pet everything. You know what would be nice is, like, instead of doing that, you know, they really focus on the gameplay to make it look better. But also, what if a game, okay, and I want this, where, like, can I pet the dog? You go up and it says pet, and then you just kill the dog.
Outside of the cats and dogs, there are some unique ways to interact with the environment as well. Each companion has an environmental ability, some of which came in quite handy for me. In my time in the Arlethan Forest, I frequently called upon Balara, whose environmental ability allows her to tinker with magical artifacts.
Is this
in a
Balara?
nice quality of life feature, your companions don't even need to be in your party in order for you to use these abilities. As an aside, another one of my favorite quality of life additions is the fact that party banter pauses and picks up again later if you trigger combat, a cutscene, or any
Boom! All over, like, everything is just flat. Oh,
else
I
that would
can't
interrupt your
stand this.
dialogue.
It's too
That's
much.
right, no more awkward standing around in order to hear the complete conversation.
Oh. Yes.
If you're feeling overwhelmed, the difficulty and
yeah.
accessibility options do allow for about just as much or as little hand-holding as you need. For example, with one Antivan Crow's quest I was doing, I could turn the navigation on and simply follow the game's guidance, or
Okay.
turn it off and look for clues in the environment to follow. In this case, the crow's purple symbol painted on certain walls.
I think I see the.
Another
Oh,
mark
I
this
see
way.
it right here. This is what she's talking about. So you can follow this around to find something.
I also just
Okay.
happened to be playing an Antivan Crow
Like, I don't like this. Everything. I just don't like the
Rook
design.
while
I hate the
completing this
UI.
quest, which led to some fun dialogue options.
We crows are all the army Antiva has, but it's not like we can field the garrison.
Once I was in the thick of things, I could clearly see the features in the Veilguard that boiled down to, okay, we heard the complaints about Inquisition, specifically addressing the infamous Hinterlands problem, which is a reference to the first open world area players visit in Inquisition. The zone was packed with more than 50
All right, so
side
I'm looking at like this. So they have like some kind of overshield, and you can start staggering them, I think. This is pretty basic stuff. They have bleeding applied. There's a lot of it. So, like, okay, so check this out, right? This is just too, like, it's too much to me, right? So you have the shield. The shield is active, but you see the shield. They're bleeding, but it's also here marked bleeding. Like, why is there double info? What? It's too much. The UI is
quests,
too much.
many of which boiled down to mere fetch quests, and it left
Hopefully you
many
can turn a lot of
players
this
drowning in a bevy of checklists that felt inconsequential to the story. The Veilguard has boiled this down quite a lot. You're still free to explore, but the scope isn't nearly as dizzying, and the quests point back to the main story, a region or faction, or a companion. Another clear reaction to criticisms of Inquisition are our villains in the Veilguard, Algernon and
Okay.
Gillenane.
More
the two
again?
elven gods feel much more present throughout the events of the early game than Corypheus, the frankly lackluster baddie of Inquisition.
Whatever
Everything's
comes,
purple
we're
and
ready
shiny.
for a fight.
Words easily said, but rarely proven.
While there's a whole lot more Thedas to see and
Rook,
talk about,
okay, this
I'd
is
be
Rook.
remiss if
I
I,
like
didn't
Rook,
bring
she
it
looks
back
great.
home to the Lighthouse.
But she's purple. Everything's freaking purple in this game.
The Lighthouse will likely be the most important location of the Veilguard, serving as the hub for you and your companions.
Ah,
Each one of your companions
the
has
hub.
their own
I guarantee
room,
you
and
can decorate it.
conveniently, a light shines outside of their door when they have a cutscene available. Once you get further into Act 1, it certainly starts to feel more lived in, and you can discover some pretty
Yeah.
charming character quirks. For example, I found that Emmerich's skeletal assistant Manfred enjoys spending time on the balcony, and we even got a few games of rock, paper, scissors in.
Come on, who cares?
The Lighthouse is also, obviously, where you're able
So, okay,
able to do
the
some
way you
housekeeping,
run is like
especially when it
so
comes-
mobile game, right? Like this looks so like your movement. There's a lot of things that bother me. Like I can't even put my finger on, but that's one that I think I finally figured I don't like the movement at all.
Comes to the
The
caretaker.
animation's not good.
Offer, dweller. I will answer.
He
This
looks
wildly
cool.
helpful spirit is always standing by to help you enchant and upgrade armor for you and your companions. But I found the Lighthouse somewhat symbolic
Yeah, I
of
don't
one
like
of
the
the
animation.
biggest challenges this game is facing. Bringing in new players
Kinda like they're
while
running with a
honoring
stick
the
up
now
their butt.
incredibly vast lore that Dragon Age has built across the games.
Hey,
comic
hey,
books,
look at all
short
this
stories, and
freaking
more.
bloom.
Basically, if you were worried that the name change from Dragon Age Dreadwolf would mean less Solus, think again. His history, along with the history of the other elven gods, is baked into the Lighthouse. And you learn more
Baked
and
in,
more
huh?
about the threat you face as you unlock Solus's murals with various wolf statues. You even get to see
Alright.
some of his memories firsthand.
They need
I don't know
gods
why I
who
care
can
about this.
protect
Why are we seeing this?
We are not gods. You will learn that.
As a lore nerd, I very much appreciated this, as well as the various other callbacks to series history. The Origins fans will likely love the Grey Warden heavy quests, and we already know the
Grey
Inquisitor
Warden's the
will
best
be
part
involved
about
in
the
some
game.
way, as you can recreate them and select your
The whole
world
series.
states from the character creator. But I do wonder if it'll overwhelm new players.
What
which
is
Bioware
going
certainly
on? Like, I get there's an electric effect,
seems
but
to be
it
courting with
looks
its action-heavy
awful.
combat system.
The effects look so
That's
bad
why
in
it
the game.
helps, at least, to have something of an outsider like Rook to take the helm of the Veilguard. Plus, the scrappiness of Rook reminded me a bit of playing as Hawk in Dragon Age 2.
Yeah, Rook
rather
is
than
definitely
more
the coolest
chosen
character,
one-esque
by far.
protagonist of the Warden in Origins
Is
and
she
the
a rogue?
Inquisitor
What is
in
she?
Inquisition. In short, a lot's changed in Dragon Age the Veilguard, but there was so much I was relieved to see stay. The focus on companions and
What the heck? This
Dragon Age the
Griffin.
Veilguard,
This
but there was
Griffin
so
looks
much
like
I
a
was relieved to
cartoon.
see stay.
Look at this Griffin.
The focus
Why does
on
it
com-
look like this? What? Oh my goodness. It doesn't even look like it fits inside Dragon Age.
Companions and romance, the rich lore, and a gorgeous world to explore.
I really wish she didn't say that. Like like the design, shapes, layout look pretty good, but the textures, like again, right here, the textures look bad. They look terrible.
It goes without saying that there's still a ton of the Veilguard that I haven't seen, especially if it's as big as Origins and Inquisition, and it certainly seems like it. But after finishing my preview, I found myself even more eager to dive into it, and much
I
more
wish she
hopeful
told
that
us
this
how
could be the
much
hit
she
BioWare
played.
needs.
I would just like that information. All right, well, I will be honest, I wasn't all that impressed with what I saw here, which is unfortunate. So, Fun fact, so I actually had started recording the 22 minutes gameplay, and they like had someone asking questions with the dev. But the gameplay was a lot of just walking. It actually ended up not being very interested. I did this a couple weeks ago when they released it, and it was just bad. Plus, whoever they had from IGN was super annoying. I couldn't stand listening to the guy. And then like the person they were talking to was also super annoying. So I was like, all right, we're not doing it. I stopped recording. I wasn't interested. So I didn't get to see a lot of it. I didn't even want to watch it anymore. I wasn't going to put anyone through it on my channel to watch that. So anyway, so I got to see a little bit then. I didn't really love what I saw, but it's just too much stuff flashing. The UI is really, really, really poor. I feel like it's really bad, which is unfortunate. The characters are mostly bad. It looks like Rook. I finally figured out who that is. She looks pretty cool. Like that thing we just saw, the select, the pause, when you start telling your party what to do. I don't like it. It just, man, I like Dragon Age. Origins is by far the best in my opinion, but this doesn't feel like Dragon Age. It just doesn't look like Dragon Age to me. It doesn't. Like, you have the characters in the world, but it doesn't seem to really fit to me, especially when they changing the combat around. I don't know why they went with this route. It's not something I'm looking forward to now. I knew, a new Dragon Age was going to finally come. I didn't realize it's been 10 years, but man, that so far just really just disappointing. Like, just, you think EA would do a better job with this, and just, the textures look bad, the graphics aren't great, it's just a lot of not good. I don't know. I feel like there's more bad to say than good. Anyway, that's my take. Let me know what you thought about the trailer. Well, I guess not a trailer, the playtime session that we just saw, the breakdown. I'm sure there's going to be more coming from IGN on that too. So, yeah, please let me know what you thought of this. I didn't really love it, so damn. Damn it. Anyway, if you haven't already, do me a huge favor. Definitely click the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so I can see you next time. Love you, mean, and peace. Bye, everybody.